Hi guys, so it's the last part of my walk from west to center and back, and as if you remember, I was finishing over here, close to the Christ the Savior Cathedral. This is the pathway I've been showing in the previous videos. So literally, it's a rebuilt cathedral, temple, as you call it. And it's located on some type of a hill, and just before the rebuilding there was a swimming pool, open swimming pool here, and it was called Moscow. And before Moscow swimming pool it was a cathedral, so it was like Bolsheviks blew it up and made a swimming pool. And as you can see here, it's a whole bunch of underground facilities over here, so probably it was used by those who made basements of this temple, who was rebuilding it. And so literally all this area is just a huge underground facility. So that makes me think that before that it was also a huge hill of underground facilities, but this is only my theory. In fact, it's a really good replica of what it was in 19th century, and it was built before for the gratitude of victory of Russian troops in Napoleon War. So we go to the left from this cathedral and see if we can check out some more evidence here. I wanted to go inside this place to see if I can check on this level of the ground. As you can see, it looks more like a hill, and it's pretty much the same level as the cathedral I showed before. And across the street we see also windows to the ground, but the church was rebuilt so good that we can see nothing. But if we go down the street right now to the right from this church, we see many bird windows, but I'm gonna go there a little bit later, maybe next time. So it's like a Russian Moscow Golden Mile, so it's very expensive real estate here. Well, I went back to the place I started, and as you can see, many bird windows here. And in fact, those skeptics who say that and stick to official version, official theory, that some houses have the bird windows because it was crappy outside and people like to live on the second floors, I'm not kind of agreeing with that, because as you can see, many buildings don't have those windows to the ground, so it's kind of a double standard thinking. For some houses we have them, and for some houses we don't have them. And in fact, many of them were excavated or rebuilt, so we can't just say anything. In fact, this house, I wanted to go inside, but some cars are blocking the way for me to film the bird windows. And the houses across the street, they all have them. And so as you can see, this house also has rebuilt a line of you know, this thing on the ground. So all this street leads us to thinking that this is the whole huge hill filled with bird constructions of previous pre-flood era, the Ants era, or the Great Tartarian era, whatever you call it. Well, I went across the street and I saw this old 17th century building on a little hill. Probably it's just not a hill, it's hill due to the excavation near it, and right now it looks like a hill because it was not excavated totally. And those windows are like on the height of my waist. We can see some, little hills here, and these are probably the marks of traces of the soil that was done from excavations. And this is the view to the park, and as you can see, the Christ the Savior temple is right over there. So we go to this street of Prichishinsky, and this leads to me back all the way where I came from. This is one of the most significant streets in Moscow. It's also very expensive due to this age and antique styles everywhere, and most of it was rebuilt very properly, but still we have many evidence here. So first of all, I looked at this rebuilt 17th century house. In fact, it was built in 17th century and rebuilt in 18th and 19th century, so it was like twice rebuilt. So as you can see, still evidence is here that nothing was looking the original way. Those small windows look very ugly and non-compatible with the style of the building. And if we walk around the building, we can see that over there, back over there, we see some glass constructions and an underground floor over there with those windows, which are hidden from the street view. Well, whatever, they want us to believe in this. In fact, look at this house to the right. It doesn't have buried windows, right? And just around the corner, we're gonna see this little house with the buried windows, and more houses with the buried windows right next to this house. I'm gonna zoom in so you can see it right now. So walking again towards the garden ring, one of the biggest rings, road rings in Moscow. As you can see, those windows being blocked by bricks, and right now they look very pathetic, but still nobody cares, because in fact water doesn't flow into these windows, and that's okay. It's better if it would flow in. Those who were rebuilding paid a lot of money on this, and big budgets were transformed into profits for those who literally hiding the evidence of previous floors, just like this huge antique style house with the emblem of some Masons, I think, because it looks like whales or David stars over there, and some lines and more heraldical things. I'm sorry, I don't know heraldics, but heraldics is a good science for people to decrypt the hidden messages. So just like this, a house with the buried windows and no buried windows to the right. How could that happen if it was the same place, the same times? So horses accidentally stopped taking craps on the street, or what? Or maybe just those who rebuilt the streets used the older basements for those houses and build just the new houses for their purpose with no buried windows. And over here we can see reconstruction and buried windows to the right. They even hide it under the columns of this rebuilt construction. So people in 19th century architectures were very good and decent. Look at the sculptures above on this 19th century skyscraper. So the end of 19th century was still technological and people knew how to build those splendid, efficient, huge, enormous houses. But anyways, they probably used the older basements and older constructions to rebuild and create something really splendid and magnificent. It's also a really impressive house with Masonic symbolism here. I'm gonna try to zoom in and we can see crows and eagles and griffons. So probably it was a captured Tartarian house which was rebuilt, and probably we have like a couple of floors underneath which are right now buried. Well, probably, and I bet it does have it, because the first floor doesn't look proportional to the second floor. And those griffins above on the roof look very impressive. Some modern houses still have those basement floors, and probably skeptics gonna say that it's just a way to expand the space, commercial purposes or something like this. But what I'm thinking is just using the older basements, and that's it. That's my point of view. If you don't agree with this, please write me in the comments what do you think about this. I know we have to talk about specific houses and stuff like this, but anyways, we see many evidence of like this on the side. Where is the road here? Where is the crap here? So no crap, and in fact it could be buried, just like this old estate or mansion over here. Looks very good from the rebuilding, but the windows to the ground and the line of the buried windows on the side makes me thinking of lack of excavation here, because people didn't have such human resources to excavate everything after the flood. In fact, Moscow had post effects with plenty of floods, like in 1908 and 1924, and some of this mud could be removed by the water, because water still flushes the floods, mud floods and stuff like this. So probably some help was done with the water floods, but still excavation was performed in 19th century, and main work was done in 1860s and 1870s, before the new population was trying to live here with these empty houses with beautiful roofs, beautiful windows. It was all left by the previous civilizations. Right now it's very expensive and really hard to construct something like this. That's why we have more simple constructions, because nobody wants to pay much money, and probably nobody is so good in architectural design. As you can see, those buried windows over here are hidden, and we can see only some ventilation shafts. little windows on the bottom of those buildings. So the whole street is filled with those houses, and in fact some of these houses are not as old and they don't have them. So this kind of debunks that each and every house was done this way. An official theory is not good enough in explanation of what we see. Those who are familiar with insulation methods know that it's really hard to contain the building with this basement, because insulation is very expensive and you have to do renovations more often, more properly, spend more money than just build one more floor. Like this rebuilding house, it's covered with some clothing and stuff like this, but we can see the windows still on the ground. The more videos we make about this, the more attempts they're gonna perform to hide the evidence, to tell us all those BS explanations about how things were at that time, how people were so less educated and less technological advanced. But in fact what we see is splendid architecture which was redesigned for modern purposes and nothing else. So Prichistinka Street is kind of over, and we can see the garden ring to the right, and this is the last house of the street. Really good antique Great Tartarian style with all these ancient gods, ancient bas-reliefs, urns, columns, Herculeses and stuff like this. It's kind of strange to see so many antique pagan architectural design in the Christian country, which Russia was in 19th century. And I'm probably gonna make a video about this paganism, mythology, and all these Atlantis styles and stuff like this, because I have many trolls that appeared during the last videos of Crawl, Crown and the Ray Bradbury videos. I've been attacked by many trolls. This is a garden ring, I'm crossing it, and this leads my way to final destination, which I came from. And still, this is a combination of modern architecture and old houses of 19th century, containing plenty of evidence of buried windows. In fact, what those trolls trying to do is they implement their knowledge from Wikipedia and all those sources into the comments, and you're often gonna see something like there's no Atlantis, it's a mythology, Philip is lying, Philip's answering this, Philip is answering that, they citing me, referring to me, what I'm saying, and they don't understand what I'm really mean. When I'm talking about Atlantis as a trade union or Great Tartaria as a country, I'm not talking about geography or continents and stuff like this. Well, look at this old townhouse of beginning of 19th century. It's a wooden house and it still has buried windows here. So how come that would happen? 1818 it was built, right? So this is kind of proves that the flood was in the middle of 19th century, probably 1840s. So all those trolls are welcome as long as you post the comments and don't troll me personally, as a person, as a man, as a, you know, as an author. You can troll what I'm saying, you can troll the knowledge that I'm bringing to the people, that you cannot troll me. And I'm gonna personally block everybody who's trolling me as a person, right? And this is called the Plushiha, and we finally went to the place I started. This is an old railway station. It was built in 19th century. I turned off my Steadicam here, so it's kind of shaky video, but still I didn't figure first that it was an antique style, and I started this walk, and as you can see, there's plenty of columns, there's plenty of antique heroes which are naked, looking like a old Greek or Roman figures. And look at here, we can see bird windows. So if it was built in 19th century, I guess it was just rebuilt in 19th century, because it had probably underground facilities here, and it has them. I tried to step a little closer to see something in the windows. All those windows are blocked with bricks, so you cannot see nothing except maybe from this window. As you can see, it's plenty of room there. So that's kind of finishing my walk, and thanks all for watching. This walk is over. When I return to Moscow, I'll probably bring more evidence. So this is all for my documentary, and if you know that I'm making it, probably I have more material from many towns, like people sending it to me. It's still kind of interesting to edit it, and thanks all for watching. See you later, guys.